As a child, we all long for a hero. As a society as a whole, we search for that leader that can be our hero. But as we mature and as we grow, it dawned on us that the hero is inside every one of us. And in the world's social media, we all start at zero. And slowly we search deep within ourselves to find who we are. And we have that moment of truth where we embrace that the hero that we've been searching for has been there all along. It is living deep inside of every one of us. And we start embracing that journey and we become that hero that we search for.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode 97 of Zero to Hero, presented by J29 Creative Group. Got another awesome guest coming at you guys today. He is the owner and director of player development at Natural Baseball Academy. He is not only molding young men's minds, but also their bodies, trying to get them to the next level. So let's go ahead and bring him in. Scott, how are you this morning, sir?
Good morning, Gino. I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Well, thank you for joining me. So before we get into kind of the show here, tell us a little bit about what you guys do at Natural Baseball Academy, how people can get involved.
Okay. We're a family-owned company. We started in 2007. Have grown into from what we had one team at that time to running 24, 25 teams at about 325 players.
Wow.
From the ages of 8 years old all the way through senior year of high school. And then we have several college players that come back in and work out with us as well. We're a 30,000 square foot facility in Olathe, just west of the Garmin complex. So there's a lot of traffic coming back and forth as they've redone some of the streets and so forth. My brother and I run the baseball side of it. My wife, Casey, does a lot of the administrative work out of it. So we stay very involved as a family and then try and create that same type of family atmosphere for the players as they come in. So when players come in after school, it's not uncommon for myself to be at the front desk or to greet those players as they come in and talk to them, call them by name, try and find out how their day's going and where they're at in kind of their life. It's kind of a special place for them to be able to come and hang out, work out, and just be something different than what they may have had all day. The goal for the guys, we're obviously working on players being better baseball players, but the bigger goal for them is to be better people as they walk out, and to have had a good experience for themselves personally, for personal growth, and giving them an avenue to express themselves and yet still kind of work them into or mold them, if you will, into that person they want to be as they move forward. And we do private instruction as well as our teamwork for players. We're heavily involved in the community and the different tournaments around the league. We've put well over 200 players into a college campus.
Wow.
To play college baseball if that's where their desire is. We've also have players that went on to play football in college or have just gone off to school to be a student, but still want to come back and give back to baseball and be a part of things, whether they're coaching now or giving in instruction or helping us out with practices. It's a great place. I'll be honest. I worked in corporate America for several years. I was at Cerner for 13 and a half years before jumping in to do this in 2011 full time. And I don't regret any move that I've made.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And I love that we were obviously talking a little bit before the show. So I graduated when Natural Baseball Academy opened. So obviously I didn't have the privilege of being able to come down and train with you guys at that point. But we were kind of talking before the show about how the mental aspect has changed really in youth sports, right? I mean, before,
For sure.
early 2000s, right? It was very get the job done, right? It doesn't matter how you do it, right? Get the training done, doesn't matter how you feel, right? And obviously that's, I think, taking a lot of the players out of the game. So I love to hear that you guys are really focused on, you know, letting players be the best version of themselves, right? And who they want to be, right? And getting them to that point on top of teaching them. Obviously there's a ton of mechanics, and if you've never played baseball, it's one of the hardest sports that's out there. You're hitting a round object with a round object, right? I mean, it
Right.
doesn't it doesn't get any harder skill wise, right, than playing the game of baseball. So absolutely incredible. Tell me a little bit about some of the teams that you guys have. Where do you guys compete? Is there, traveling functions to this? What's going on the team level?
There is at the high school level mostly. We try and keep the local teams. We try and keep local. There's enough local flavor, enough local tournaments, enough good local competition that there's not a need to go out and travel a lot with the younger players.
Yeah.
And plus, our feeling is if they travel a lot as a younger player, then what's the reason of traveling them when they get older, right? Where's the mystique to it? At the high school level, there is some travel that happens, but again, we try and stay more local. So we're 3.5 to 4 hours away typically. Studies have shown that 85% of the graduating seniors will stay within 3.5, 4 hours of home. So the outside travel doesn't make a lot of sense for us if our players are going to stay more local to go to college anyways. We try and hit the local colleges for the high school guys as much as we can.
I love that. So it's kind of almost a showcasing opportunity to go to a different college play team, maybe that's locally there, and kind of just show off some of the players that you've got on the team there and some of their abilities. Am I hearing that
For
right?
sure.
Cool.
Yeah, we do a lot of there's so many D2 schools in the area.
Yeah.
The MIAA is a great Division II conference, and with UCM down the road and Missouri Western not far away, Pitt State pretty close, Emporia State close, Washburn close. Those are different areas and different schools that we can get our players out to look at and see if those are the right campus for them, as well as what they offer academically, right? So we talk a lot about the academic and athletic fit. So for some guys, the JUCO route and the Jayhawk Conference, obviously being one of the top conferences in the country as well, to find out the right fit for the player, right? Would all players like to go to a Division I, to go to Wichita State or a KU or a K-State and get the swag as they go along with it? Sure. But does it fit them athletically? Does it fit what they really want to do? Whereas a Division II, an NAIA school, there's a lot of local NAIA colleges around, and we really work well with the coaches to make sure that the player is the right fit for their program and the right program is the right fit for the player. Right? If a kid goes to school for a semester and leaves, we really haven't done our job.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And obviously, baseball is one of those great sports where they will find talent anywhere. I mean, there's no
sure.
shortage of, I think it's great that there's so many baseball scouts. I believe you're a scout as well, right?
I do work locally through the Mariners organization.
Yeah,
Yes.
which is very cool, right? So obviously there's scouts like yourself in baseball are fantastic about turning over these rocks, right? Almost
Right.
where I think sports like the NFL, right? Football, if you're not a D1 school, chances of you getting onto a roster are pretty low, right? Unless you're going to one of these larger D2 schools that get talked about a lot. So, just it's not the end all be all, right? If you end up in a smaller school playing
Right.
baseball, there's still plenty of opportunity there. And I think obviously if you're not getting on the field, right, if you go to a D1 school and maybe you're just not good enough to quite get on the field, that's not the option, obviously, right? You got to get somewhere where you're going to be able to get some playing time in and be able to develop those skills further, right? So that people do take a look at you. So
it definitely makes it more fun when
Yeah.
you know you have that chance, right? And I think for some guys, the competition of it, because they've always had a place to play or they were the star for their high school team,
right,
they assume they're going to jump in and be a star right away wherever they go,
right,
without remembering, oh yeah, everybody on my team was a star for their high school player,
right.
right? And you got to, it's work for them, but I think there's an awful lot of reward for it when they get there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of time, it's the journey, right? That makes the
For
good
sure.
story. Yeah, it's not
Yes.
the destination. So beautiful, beautiful. Well, let's put it Natural Baseball Academy to the side for a second. Okay, I know that's a big part of who you've been for
Yeah.
almost the last 15 years or so, right? At least. But putting that aside, who is Scott Jones? Give us the elevator pitch about who you are.
Well, um, I forego my I for so for me, baseball wise, grew up in the area. My family moved here when I was 4, and we've been a part of the baseball scene for 52 years now,
Wow.
in the area. My dad coached. I have a middle brother who is a head coach at a junior college in Western Nebraska, and then my youngest brother and I work together with this along with my wife. Um, I was in corporate America for a long time and have no bad feelings about the things I did as I taught myself different avenues. Um, I taught myself computers. I taught myself programming. I taught myself how to kind of work with people. I was a shy kid growing up out of high school and didn't always communicate well. Um, so kind of getting out into that world and having to do things, be a part of big projects at Cerner, I think helped me learn to find who I am and where my passions lie. Um, Baseball obviously is a passion for me, but in helping players become and work to what they want to be is way more important than just the baseball side of it. So there's an inner drive for me to help players find out who they are and help them become that person, as opposed to kind of be siloed into different spots.
Yeah.
Um, wow, I really can't explain the energy and the amount of love that pours out of the place for the players and the players that they have for themselves as the different age groups work through. You find guys that have stayed friends because of this place, and now they're at each other's weddings, and they're roommates in college or after college, and they talk to one another as their kids are being born, and doing things that just go well beyond what you would dream. And it's great to be a part of all their rides.
Yeah. I love that. The baseball is the Trojan horse, and it's funny. I was looking through your social media, which I'm going to ask you about next, right? And it's actually really hard to find a picture of you. I was looking for a
Yeah,
picture of you to create the graphic for the show, and you look at the social media, and it's all the kids. I mean, it's all about the kids, right? There's
right.
there's not a picture of you or your brother on there or your wife, right? Which is incredible, and I think that really just goes to show, obviously, where your guys' passion is, right? Is within those kids, but obviously when we started the social media right back in 2007, I assume probably is when you guys started this up, and we're wanting to tell people about what you guys got going on there and the love that you've got to share inside that building. You started it with 0 followers, 0 likes, 0 mentions, zero everything on all the
Yeah.
social media. So tell us about that journey of starting at 0 to where you guys are at now.
Wow. And obviously not understanding the social media world and kind of stumbling your way through it. What makes sense? What are those things you need to be telling people as opposed to what are some of those don'ts? What are the things you need to stay kind of away from? Um, I would say again, the idea was to build the players. The business side of it happens, and nobody goes into business to lose money, obviously. But if you treat the players right, and if you talk with the families and right, then people want to come be a part of it.
Yeah.
So when you're working on social media, I think it's about being open and honest and authentic with who you are, what you're doing, what you're trying to bring to the table, and letting people then kind of make their decisions on their own as to whether or not they want to be a part of that, if that's something they can be involved in, or is it not what they want. Right? We're not the right place for everybody, but we're the right place for the right person.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reach in social media, that there's so much out there that for a person to be able to decipher between what's right for them and what's wrong for them, I think it's tough for a business owner to get past, right? What do I want to tell people about me? How do I want people to assimilate with natural baseball to their family and their lifestyle, and what will work well for them? Yeah, it's fun to get the likes. I'm not gonna lie, right? You try and stay away from checking it to see, oh, did people like that post? Did they like that repost? Is this a wrong avenue to go down? But we've been able to manage it to this point. A lot of our followers are, families that have been around here before, been around with us. Some people that have never played for us, but just kind of like the content, or like the fact that we have several college coaches following us, or the Prep Baseball Report being a part of what we do, and those Instagram and Twitter tags, bringing religion into what we do, and being able to be freely to talk about God and our beliefs, was one of those things we kind of shied away from, and not sure that it was the right thing to put out. And it's what we feel, it's what we believe in. It's a part of us. So we went ahead and started putting more of that content out too.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely doing it the right way, right? And it's really separating that emotion, right, and that dopamine hit, right, which is
Right.
the likes and the follows and the kind of the vanity metrics, right? And hey, let's put out just what, authentically us, who we want in the building, right? What we're looking for, and then obviously that's going to find the right people. And it sounds like it's working out fantastic for you with college players coming back. I mean, obviously that's the kind of environment that you're wanting to produce there, right? Where people feel welcome. If they want to come back and help out, by all means, right? And
Absolutely.
that's the beauty of social media. Obviously, social media will show you a lot of things that you don't need to see as well, right? But the beauty of it when it's working well is that it's gonna take that message that you guys are putting out and put it in front of those people that really want to hear that message, right, and want to get involved. So absolutely amazing. And yeah, I love that you're separating the vanity metrics, man, because that's the number one thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
a million people can like it and follow it. If nobody's walking in the door, what good does it
Right.
do, right? So
Yeah. And again, not that we're perfect, right? We're just trying
nobody
to be
is.
the best that we can. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, it has worked to this point.
Good. Love hearing that. Yeah, and I we're actually founded on a Bible verse ourselves. We're not shy about it. So I love that you guys are putting that out there. We're Jeremiah 29:11. That's where J29 comes from. So yeah, I think you put out who you are, and you're gonna find the right people, right? So
Right.
that is absolutely amazing. Now every superhero has a defining moment. Scott, what do you think yours is when it comes to not only your life but your career as well?
Whoa. Defining moment of when I would believe, when we made the jump into this building, and it kind of became real. Before that, we were in a small warehouse, and I think there were a lot of startups that have tried to be a baseball house, so to speak. When we moved into this building, we went from 5,000 square feet to 15,000. And now it's real, right? Now your rent doubles. Now it's okay. We've got to do the right things and really try and bring people in. And it's the work ethic of being here 12 hours a day, or right, and 7 days a week during the winter months, when you're trying to get those high school guys ready for high school tryouts, and the youth guys, you're preparing them to get ready to start their season. It's really a 7-day a week gig, especially as you're trying to build it.
Yeah.
And then I think as we moved forward with it, it's probably around 2014, 2015, when we had grown, and we needed to find what's the next step. What really makes us different as all these groups began to pop up, how are we going to separate ourselves? And I think it just was the eye-opening piece of, well, we have good people here that work with players, not because they play baseball, but because they're good people. And I think the eye-opening into that was a key. I said, let's keep that. Let's try to roll with that and let the good people work for good, and then the positivity can just flow through.
Yeah, absolutely. You can teach people just about anything, right?
Right.
Other than how to be a good person, right?
Right.
So
Yeah. Sure.
that's kind of in there, right? I mean, obviously, people can change and different things can happen, right? But yeah, if you're surrounding yourself with good people, the talent can be taught. So that's huge, absolutely. And now you're at 30,000 square feet, so the rent has more than doubled again,
Right.
I suppose,
It
since
has.
then. So you're
Yep.
obviously doing something right for sure down there. Now, attributes are, obviously heroes have attributes, villains have attributes as well, right? What do you think are the attributes that really define what a hero is?
Love,
Yeah.
desire, purpose, inner strength,
Yeah.
self-confidence. I think those are some of the bigger things to know you're going to be able to be that person for somebody else if they're willing to open themselves up to it.
Yeah. Huge. I love that you threw self-confidence in there. That's actually, obviously, as young ball players, that's something that they kind of
Oh
go
yeah.
back and forth with, right? I mean, that's
Right.
there's obviously good days with that, right? And obviously the way that you play and the results have quite a bit to do with that. How are you helping some of the younger kids that you're coaching that maybe struggle with that more than some other ones? What are some of the tactics that you give them to help them out with that?
We talk a lot about what self-confidence really means.
Yeah.
Right? The preparation behind it, which then allows you to be confident that you're going to get past whatever it is whatever adversity is there. Right. As you know, baseball is such a failure sport.
Yeah.
But players feel like success only happens when they get on base. And sometimes that success is defined by whether their parents are smiling because they got on base, or whether they're upset with how they got on base. And the player likes, that I read something this morning on an instructor out of town that talked about the difference in two players. One dad comes in and said, I'm going to go ahead and leave. You've got him. The kid's good. He understands what needs to be done. This player is going to be okay. And he could leave. And the player worked really hard because the dad believed in him that he could handle it on his own. Where another player comes in and the instructor is told he struggles with self-confidence. That put even more troubling self-confidence on the player. So to try and ease their mindset about, one, they're not always going to be perfect. Right? One perfect person ever in the world. None of these guys walk on water, so they're obviously not that guy.
Right.
Right. So it's to get them to understand it's okay to not be perfect. And here's where your abilities can help you even when you're not perfect. You're going to get 80% of it right. So that other 20%, okay, that will come in time. Or maybe the other 20% will be good the next time and you'll miss a different 20%. Right. And
I love it.
It's just the mindset for a young player now is so much different than it was. And I'm just going to say it, pre-COVID, mindsets are just different now.
Yeah.
And in learning how to manage through all of that time period and the different levels of self-confidence that young men and young girls have lost out of being around people or not around people, or however it's worked, has changed those players growing up quite a bit.
No, I love the example you gave as well. It's a fundamental of getting people to like you, really, but it's giving them a reputation to live up to, right? I mean, he's got it, right? He's got it. He's good, right? And the other one's like, man, this kid's struggling with this. That's I wonder why. What's the denominator there? So yeah, no, that's absolutely huge, right? Give your kids a good reputation to live up to, and I think you'll be amazed how well they live up to it, right?
Yep.
Now, Scott, last question for you here, buddy. This is the one I kind of told you before the show, kind of hangs everybody up. So hopefully you got something in mind. But out of all the superheroes that are out there, who best relates to Scott Jones? And tell us a couple of reasons why.
Okay, well, the first one I'm going to throw my hero is my dad.
I love it.
He was an entrepreneur himself, struggled with some things back in the early 80s out of being an entrepreneur. The work ethic he taught me and displayed has helped to inspire and grow me, especially as we got into becoming an entrepreneur ourselves. So that's number one. The other one, the superhero, and one that I talk about a lot in hitting lessons is the Hulk. Right? That person, that inner personality that lives inside us, that I believe everyone has a Hulk inside them, and how they manage that, similar to the way Dr. Banner has to manage it, is kind of the way it produces or promotes itself and how it shows, right? There's a time to let those eyes turn green and get after it. And then there's that time that you have to kind of put him on a leash and hold him back a little bit. I think we all struggle with that area at times. And for me, it's been a self-confidence boost in being able to manage it and be able to work through it. And a calmness to know that, yeah, when I need it, it's there. And when I don't need it, I don't have to display it. Yeah. And I think that's been huge for me in my growth growing up.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, that I definitely relate to that, being an old ball player myself, right? Sometimes it's better to hold that back for sure, and sometimes it's good to let it go. And even more as a golfer now, I can relate to that. Believe it or not.
There's a lot more Hulk that comes out when I play golf. For sure.
You gotta hold that sucker back on the golf course for sure. Well, Scott, man, thank you for coming on. You've been absolutely amazing. I know you guys are kind of winding down on the fall ball season right now, but for people that want to get involved with Natural Baseball Academy, get out there, get those private lessons, or maybe try out for one of your teams, how can they follow you guys? How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, well, we're on all the social media platforms, Twitter at Natural Baseball, at Natural Baseball Academy on Instagram, and I believe it's at Natural Baseball on Facebook. We don't use that one as much as we used to, that's generationally. That's not as useful. It's
not where the ball players are at nowadays.
Yeah, not as often.
The washed up ones. Sorry,
but it is where more of the parents are at. So
right.
So you're trying to play both ends of it. They can always reach us at our number 913-829-1687 to call and talk about possible roster opportunities, or info@naturalbaseball.com is a great email to try and reach us at as well. Our website's out there, and there's contact us information for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of good stuff on there. You can kind of check out, what's going on down there, kind of what the vibes are, right? Obviously, when we're talking about training our kids, the environment that you're in is absolutely huge. You're not only molding them to be better players, but the mind is huge, right? With especially young ball players. So, make sure it's the right fit. Get out there, check it out. If you're feeling good about it, definitely give them a call. Casey or Scott or somebody over there will be able to help you out. Scott, my man, thank you again for coming out. Good luck with the rest of the fall ball seasons here and getting into winter.
Thank you, Gina. Thanks for letting me come on, Gino. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Everybody out there, thanks for tuning in.
Hey, are we still live? Hey, guys, we're still live. Hey guys, this is Kevin Kwok, founder of J29 Creative Group. So, who are we? We're a marketing agency here in Kansas City. We're all about a holistic approach to marketing that builds your brand and nurtures online community. But to be honest with you, you guys don't care.